Hi, and welcome back to Real Estate Made Simple. I'm your host, Rick Bosley, and I'm the owner of the Bosley Team Real Estate Solutions in Orlando, Florida, as well as 3L Coaching. And we're here for part 2 of marketing, the course written by Keller Williams University, Lead Generation 36-12-3. They say it's prospecting based, marketing enhanced. That's right out of the Shift book. And that's what we're doing for growth mode. That's what we're focusing on right now. The last episode, we talked about your brand and your message and how we can make sure it's unique and concise and consistent. Today, we're going to get a little more strategic and granular with what does that look like. I'm going to share with you the Bosley Team's listing strategy of how we market and prospect around our listings to maximize our results, not only for our sellers to get the most eyeballs and attraction and leads, but also to be able to attract some of the neighbors and future people in there. So if that sounds exciting for you, stay tuned. Thanks for being here. Welcome back. And if you like what you hear today, don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. And do me a favor, share it with a friend. If someone else you think might enjoy this content, share it with a friend. I'd love to be able to share this information with more people because the more it's out there, the better our industry will do. Now, if you're not in real estate, that's okay. I'm going to talk about marketing your listing. Yet I want you to think about marketing around your customer. Our listing is our customer. It's our chance to have our billboard in the front yard with the listing panel. Yet we see it with roofers, we see it with pool companies, we see it with landscapers. And if you're not doing it, maybe you could and maybe you should and have some of your information there. Many people, you might have a branded truck or some windows. So that's a marketing. How are you portraying that, parlaying that to hit it? You know, one thing I hear, and it's one of the challenges that we have with insurance in Florida, yet after a hailstorm, you better believe that several roofing companies will be on the phone, knocking door to door the very next day saying, let me give you a free home inspection. You might get a new roof, right? And that's a whole different conversation about some of the problems that we have with insurance right now, yet they are strategically target marketing people who need their help. They are solving their problem, and kudos to these roofing companies for being proactive, and it's an opportunity there. So when we think about a listing, now I'm just going to share with you what the Bosley team does for our listing, and it's that the marketing plan, and it's very strategic, and it's getting a lot of great results. So one thing we do is we schedule our photography on Tuesdays. Sometimes, schedules don't allow it, yet we do the best we can. We're going to schedule it on Tuesdays. That way it gives us 48 hours, and we're going to list the property on a Thursday. Now we do that because we're seeing the highest amount of traffic of buyers available looking at homes or cruising over the weekend. So we're going to have a listing that's fresh on the market on a Thursday. Then we have the first 3 days, which we're getting the most eyeballs on the weekend, which we can do open houses and get the most viewing there. So we do photography on a Tuesday. We door knock the neighborhood on a Wednesday, right before it's listed. So FREC rules and law says you can market a home no more than 24 hours before it's listed. So Wednesday is good. Let's go ahead and market that. We have the information. We say we're going to be hosting an open house. Your neighbor's house is for sale. Now, if that's all I did, that would be great branding. Remember last episode, we said if there's not a call to action, you're branding. So what's the call to action? Mr. and Mrs. Seller or Mr. and Mrs. Neighbor, we're going to be listing your neighbor's house up the street. We're going to be going live on the markets on Thursday. We're hosting an open house on Friday and Saturday. We're expecting to get an abundance of leads or people who are interested in moving to this neighborhood. So we were curious if you or anyone you know in this neighborhood has thought about selling. We would love to be able to share your information as well. If it's a yes, fantastic. We have a new nurture. If it's a no, thank you, no problem. Do you know of anyone who might want to be moving in this area that you would like to send to the open house? If yes, let's make that happen. If no, hey, it's no problem. Can we stay in touch with you? That way we can let you know what the house goes under contract, what it sells for, so you can see how it affects you and your house. So we're still going for the home run, and then the double, and then the single with permission to follow up and stay in touch. So you heard that. That's the door knocking script. We go live on Thursday. That's when we do all the digital, all the online. So it's a live listing, Keller Williams system. And most systems nowadays have the great algorithm that it's going to be automatically syndicated to hundreds of websites. So it's blasted out there. Any buyer whose criteria matches their information, it will be email blasted out there. So if you're a seller out there right now, I want you to think about this, that day when you go active is when it gets blasted out to the most amount of eyeballs. It's the Black Friday. It's the first chance to make the first impression. It's so important that we price it right from the beginning because that's the first impression people are getting. We want to make sure we price it right. We've been successful at being aggressive with our pricing, yet when we're out of market, we do see it have a slower than normal start. So I just want to encourage you to, when you're talking with your realtor or you're thinking about your price, don't price it out of the market. It's okay to be on the higher end, but still in the market because you want to make that first impression. So it gets syndicated out. We do Facebook boost. Now a Facebook boost or Instagram boost, or you can Google at it. This is you taking online marketing and pushing the information out to a target audience. Now we can target the audience, and usually it's around an age or an income or a proximity of where they live, and you can put different features. You can put if somebody likes or has been following Realtor.com or Zillow or HGTV. If they like those, then also put this in front of them because there's a good chance they're in the market because they're on these sites. So there's different ways that we can put it in front of people. I remember a couple of years back, the Brazilian buyer was coming massively, and because the Brazilian dollar was as such that it made sense to go buy and invest in Florida real estate, and we targeted an ad down in Brazil for just a beautiful pool home and tropical. I mean, the traffic that it got was unreal. And so we were able to take that and just insert it and put it in anybody who we want. So online, that's what we do on Thursdays, as well as we prospect to anybody in our current database or pipeline that we think the home criteria might fit. So we're going to send it out to our pipeline of buyers. We're going to let everyone who we visited at an open house recently, let them know we've got a new one coming up and get that personal invitation. So that's what we do on Thursdays. On Fridays is the open house. We do a twilight open house, and then also on Saturday an open house. Now we do this the first 48 hours. We do it because if people are curious about buying a home or curious about selling a home, they might not go out of the way to make an appointment. Yet if it's an open house, they might come in, take a look, and all of a sudden, you know, both for the seller and for us, it's an advantage. Sometimes sellers think that open houses are only for realtors. Yes, it's for realtors to attract buyers, yet it's also it's a fact. The more people that we get to look at your home, to be excited about your home, to share the information about your home, the more interested parties create the higher offers. So the best things you can have as a seller is a little insert that says multiple offers received, highest and best due by. Now, last year in 2022, that was pretty much every time we would list it, we would just go to the bathroom, come back, have multiple offers, and that was the market we were in. Now our days on market are closer to 30 or 60, yet here's what we know. When the houses are priced right and presented well, they're going to get offers quickly. We're still in a seller's market, and depending when you're watching this, a seller's market is anything less than 6 months of inventory. In Orlando right now, we're at about 3.5 months of inventory. So we're still in a seller's market. If a house is priced right, presented well, you'll still have some multiple offers. Be prepared for that. So we want to make sure we price right from the beginning. Do your open houses, let them go. So if we get the offers, of course, then the marketing and lead generation is done if the buyer and seller come to terms. If not, then every Tuesday we are looking at everything all over again. The cycle starts over. And we're going to say, what new pricing do we have? What new buyers do we have? Is there a new way that we can get a new Facebook ad, a new strategy? So we have this commodity that people want, and people want a listing. So how can we take this commodity and go attract the highest and best offer? That sometimes works for the house. The seller is happy. Sometimes it works for another house. That's okay too. It's a win-win. And now we have a new client. That's how we're going to market around our listings. When you think about your sign, what's the call to action? Do you have a flyer box? Do you have a mortgage officer who can say, get pre-approved? Is your information clear and concise? Do you have a website? Do you have a mobile app? What do you want them to do when they drive by and they see your sign in the front yard? Think about that and make sure your marketing, your message portrays what you want. So that's how we're going to market our listings. If you have some more unique ways that you market your listings, please go ahead and just drop in the comment. I'd love to hear that. That's just an insight of what we do at the Bosley team. In addition, we are sending some direct mail. We do what's called golden letters. Golden letters says we're going to write a handwritten note to the homes in the immediate area and let them know the house is for sale. And then once it closes, that it has just sold. So handwritten, personalized notes, letting the neighbors know. So when you think about that, the neighbor's going to come in, see our open house signs. They're going to get our handwritten letter. They're going to get a flyer on the door. They're going to get a door knock. They're going to see the sign in the yard every time they go to and from their house, and then another letter. That's like 8 to 10 touches they're going to get, and a billboard every time they walk in. We are creating mind share there, and that's how we can get that momentum. These are some strategies you guys can use immediately. Now, this was for the realtor yet. I bet if you are an electrician or if you're an insurance broker, there's nothing against you doing the same exact thing. There's nothing against you putting a sign in the yard, door knocking, writing handwritten letters, having that same sort of follow-up, and be able to attract and generate more leads for yourself. When we think about some marketing, I want you to think about the conveyor belt. At the end of last episode, I used the reference or the analogy of flying and checking your luggage. When you check your luggage, you give your luggage to the clerk up front, it goes behind them, and then it touches, 8, 9, 10 people, 10 different conveyor belts. You have layovers, and it magically appears 800 miles across the U.S. There it is. If we think about the conveyor belt or the sales funnel, this is going to be how we're going to get that lead from contact down to closing. And so the systematic marketing plan, I want to call it a systematic lead generation plan. This is right out of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent excerpt. And again, this is Lead Generation 3612.3, written by KWU. And they have different plans and models. I'll share with you what's working for us right now. So hopefully you can use the same thing. Each marketing plan, each systematic plan has a purpose. And so if we get a new lead or a new inquiry that we have yet to talk to, then the goal is to have a conversation. And so the marketing and the prospecting around this plan is to elicit a response. So let's think about this as an online lead to elicit a response, and they call it the 10 days of value. For 10 days in a row, we're going to offer an item of value, because the last thing they told us when they clicked that button was, I want to talk to you. Now, could they change the mind? Of course. Could they immediately regret clicking that button after they did it? Sure. But you don't know that, so don't make the assumption for them. You're going to be aggressive. Some of the best agents, they're going to do 3 times in the first 3 days each. So 9 touches in the first 3 days. Now we do call, text, email. That's attempt 1. Call, text, email. Now here's what this sounds like. Ring, 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 hang up. Ring, 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 ring. Voicemail. If the voicemail's there, you can do a video text or normal text. Says, hey, this is Rick Bosley. Sorry I missed you. You inquired about 123 Main Street. I gave you a call, left you a voicemail. If texting is better for you, let me know. We'd love to answer any questions you might have. Or it's we have an open house tomorrow. I'd love for you to come by. Or I have some important information I need to tell with you so you're aware of what might be happening. Whatever that call to action is, that hook, and then the email doing the same thing. Now, why do we do call, text, email? In this day and age, there's a lot of robots, a lot of automation that happens out there. And if you call, you're going, I don't know who this number is. I'm going to ignore it. If that number calls you right back, all of a sudden you're going, that's not a bot. That's a human being on the other side of that. So we're going to pick up the phone or leave a voicemail. Now, I don't know if you're like me. I don't always check my voicemails immediately. Yet if I get a text from somebody that says, hey, I just left you a voicemail, then I'd be more likely to do it. So call, text, email. Do that 3 days in a row. And then just tone it down. You can do it day 4, 5, 6. Maybe it's just a call, text, email. You can have your lender call, have the people of your team call. We're looking to elicit a response. We talked about this in a previous session of intensity and frequency. Again, the last thing they told us was, I want more information about whatever this marketing piece was. That's what they told us, and we're going to give them the information. Now, I have no problem going, if you no longer want to hear from me, let me know. If I don't hear from you, call you tomorrow. Right? And it's that relentless. We use that word relentless. We said double down. So you be relentless with eliciting a response. You get 10 days of value. After 10 days and after this relentless effort, you have a decision to make. This decision that says, this is a dead lead. I'm no longer going to follow up with it. And I'm going to move on to people who want to hear from me. And if that's for you, that's great. I've heard people do it for 21 days. I've heard people just tone it down and do it once a week or then once a month. They slowly go away. You've got to figure out a system that works for you, but know that your intensity and frequency must be with the effort to elicit a response. So that's conveyor belt number 1. The second one, once we have a response, is we want to cement the relationship and create that mind share. In the MREA, we use the reference or the system called the 8x8. Now, the 8x8 is 8 touches over 8 weeks to cement the relationship. Now, that's the title of it. If you want to do a 12x8 or an 8x10 or a 6x9, whatever you want it to be, the purpose is over a period of time. It's almost, you go from a flash fryer, the 10 days, to a crock pot, which is over 8 weeks or 2 or 3 months. So the 8x8 is to cement the relationship and add value. Now, this is very important. I've heard a lot of coaches and real estate coaches say, if someone tells you they want to sell their house in 4 months, call them in 2. They're like, haha, gotcha. You told me 4, I called you in 2. I think that works great for transactional agents. If you've listened to me long enough, you know that I am not a transactional agent. We are relationship-based agents looking to come from contribution and add value to our customers. So if I call you in 2 months to get your 4-month deal, it's because I'm thinking about the transaction. Instead, if you tell me you're ready for 4 months, I'm going to say, fantastic. And then I'm going to offer items of value over the next 8 weeks. It may or may not be related to real estate. We have a very strong community of our past clients and our friends, and family, and refers and VIPs. We give gifts, we throw parties, we have fun, we celebrate and honor people on their birthday. We do happy hours, we sponsor community events, we sponsor movies. And if you're in our 8x8, we're just going to welcome you to our family. And we're going to let you know that we do things a little bit differently because we believe we want to cement the relationship. So in 4 months down the road, that agent who calls you in 2 months, they're now a hard plan B because you've cemented the relationship with us as the plan A. So the 8x8 is there to cement the relationship. Now, how do we know when the relationship's been cemented? Well, you've got to use some judgment there, right? There's not necessarily a green light, yet a nice aspect that you can think about is, do they respond? Do they show up? Are they engaged? Do they have an appointment with you? Do they refer you? Right? Is the message and the marketing relationship being built? It's kind of like if you have a new neighbor who moved in across the street. And you say, you know what, I want to build a strong community, and that neighbor's got kids the same age as mine. I think it would be great. If you just wave to them occasionally, you're probably not going to be able to have that relationship. But if you can invite them over, set up some play dates, invite them to a family barbecue, and you do this over time, that's how you can integrate them in so it cements that relationship. So we have the 8x8, cement the relationship. Now, what happens if in 8 weeks, and we're using 8, but again, it can be whatever you want. What happens if in 8 weeks, nothing's there? You still feel like you're just getting the cold shoulder, they're barely responding. Just like that 10 days of value, you have a decision to make of going, are they part of my sphere of influence, or are they going out into what might be this general population? We have 5,500 people in our database and a little less than 600 that we would call in our sphere of influence. So 4,900 over the past several years, they just haven't picked up what we're putting down. And that's okay. We still keep them in the database. They get some automation marketing. They get some of the stuff that I can send out in the masses. They're not getting the personalized and customized prospecting that takes more time because we're choosing people who are responding, right? The currency to be in our database or our sphere of influence is your actions. The currency to be in our sphere of influence is your actions. Now, the action could be responding, attending, referring, using. Those are the actions we want to see to keep you in our sphere of influence so we can constantly top grade. Because we're meeting people every day. Remember all those things we're doing, all the door knocking and all the social media ads. We're doing things that are attracting more people every day to our database. And this is the system that we can elevate who is responding, what's the currency for those actions. So the 8x8 takes them over to the 36 touch. And again, the 36 touch is actually 36 to convert if you want to look at it. In the MREA book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, it's called the 33 touch. And this just says 33 touches over the course of 12 months to maintain a relationship. So if we've cemented the relationship in 33 touches, that's about 3 a month. Now, I was at a panel last week at Family Reunion, and there's an agent, and she said there's 202 touches she does a year. Now, some of you are going, holy smokes, that sounds like it'd be awful. 202, it's way too much. That's like 15 a month. Yet here's why it works. They do a quarterly phone call, so there's 4. They do a monthly postcards. Now we're at 16. They send you a monthly email of the rate of your house. Now we're at 28. They send you a birthday card. They send you a Christmas card. So now we're at 30. And then they have 6 events, and each event has 6 touches. Save the date. Don't forget. Then they're doing social media shout outs. So when they looked at everything they're doing, is over 200. We looked at the Bosley team. We have about 120 touches for someone who's truly in. And here's the key of why it's not going to be tiring on the consumer, because it's useful and needed and it's valuable. It's not 202 or 128 or 33 times of going, hi, friend, you want to sell your house? Call me when you do. If that gets real tiring, we talked about this in the past of deposits and withdrawals. And you have to come from contribution and give more than you get. And if you're constantly giving, solving their problems. Here's an example. Watch thing about of useful and need. And this is from Jason Abrams. He tells this story. And he says a true story, so I believe it's a true story. And that's his family got a postcard of a reminder of time to clean your gutters. That was just part of his campaign, and time to clean your gutters. And Jason says his 9-year-old came up and gave him this postcard. He says, Mom said clean the gutters. Jason's like, I'm trying to watch football. What do you mean come clean the gutters? So Jason calls the guy up. He knows him because Jason's an executive at Keller Williams, and this is a Keller Williams agent. He says, hey, this is Jason Abrams from Keller Williams International. And this agent's going, oh my gosh, this is amazing, fantastic. And he says, yeah, hey, I got your postcard on cleaning my gutters. Wow, thanks. Yeah, thanks for that feedback. He says, I need you to remove me from your list immediately. Agent was taken back a bit. He says, yeah, you just gave me a chore. That's not useful. And you're going to tell me next, I got to go clean out my garage. I got to edge my yard. You just give me a chore. That's not useful or needed. Now, on one hand, it is a good marketing piece. What are the marketing piece? It's solicited an action. It got the mom to give to the son, to give to Jason, and now they're talking about it. Now they're doing it. He actually picked up the phone. So I would argue that the marketing worked because it created and elicited a response to create a conversation. Everything we do is about creating that conversation. Now, what could have been spun differently is in that conversation, this agent could have spun it with some truly useful and needed information, depending on who the person is. So what if instead of, hey, clean your gutters, and that's the message, could you got a local gutter cleaner to offer a discount? If you are cleaning your gutters this fall, please think about using Jim's gutter cleaner service. And if you use my name, you'll get 20% off. Okay, now that's useful and needed. And then maybe if you do that with Jim's gutter cleaning service, you can say, hey, Jim, I've got a lot of business and I want to send some business your way. And do you mind if I can give 5 gutter cleaners away for my top very best clients? And then you can call people and say, hey, did you get that postcard I sent you about Jim's gutter cleaning service? Did you need yours clean? I just want to thank you for being just such a great supporter of me and what we're doing here. And I'm going to have Jim show up to your house, give me a date, and he'll be there on me. Now we can take this marketing piece and turn it into truly useful needed information. So that's an example of some touches. That one postcard could create 3 or 4 touch points when you're calling to say, did you get it? Think about this more marketing pieces of Jim's gutter cleaner. I don't know who Jim's gutter cleaner is, but Jim gutter cleaner, if you're out there, I'd love for you to make a comment right here of going, hey, thanks for the shout out, Jim's gutter cleaning. But you could do a feature story on social media. You could have them featured on your website. You could do some co-branding. You can actually brand yourself to Jim's database. Does he have a database? So we can think about all the touches we can do to be able to add that value. This is the marketing. So you went from, hey, time to clean your gutter, which was generic, which is probably something that he downloaded from some national company that says, here's a touch, go send it out, to going, this is what I've got. Now let me go find a local resource, help build a small business, add some value, bless some people with some gifts, give some strategies, give some tips. We can see how that can move from there. So once they're there, you're building, you're converting your database. We have the system set up for 3L coaching. If you want a copy of it, drop it in the comments, or you can send me a message below. We can give you a copy of what we do to maintain our database. It's just the skeleton though, because it's such a personalized touch and such a personalized feel. If you do have a farm, we mentioned this before in the last episode, you're doing what's called a 12 direct. And the 12 directs for your target audience, you might not have all the information. When we say information, we're looking for 4 points: their name, their number, their email, or their home address. If we have those 4 things, we can do every aspect of our marketing and our prospecting. If you don't, maybe do the 12 direct to elicit the response or to get the response to it. When you get that, you do the 10 days of value until you have a conversation. Once you have that, you do the 8x8 to cement the relationship. Once you cement the relationship, you keep them there through your connecting campaign, value, client appreciations, that sort of thing. Now we're getting the higher dollar per value, because you might recall that the target market gave you a 50-to-1 return, your sphere of influence will give you a 1 in 6 return, 12 and 2. So 12 and 2 is what they say in the book, because 1 in 6 will use you, 1 in 6 will refer you. Folks, people want to work with people who they like. People must like you. If people don't work with you, you're not very likable. I'm sorry. They want to work with who they like. Then if they like you, they'd have to know that you do a good job. So we talk about the conversion stair step. And the first thing is build the rapport. Once they like you, then you can start adding value. Once you add enough value over time, they begin to trust you. And once they trust you, they will use you and refer you. Let me say that again. If you have a complete stranger, your sole purpose is to get them to like you and build rapport. Once you have that rapport, we'll call you in the friend zone at that point. Your sole purpose every time you talk with someone who you already have a relationship with, they already like you, is to add value. Is to add value to what's important to them. Once you've added value, you have the opportunity to build and earn the trust. And the only way you'll know that is if you ask for the order and ask for the business. So if you've added value, was this beneficial for you? Yes, fantastic. Hey, is there anyone else you know right now that has some real estate related needs that you can introduce me to? Do you feel comfortable doing so? If they say yes, bam, their trust is there. And once you have that trust, then it's just going to be that person who continually stays there. And when they need you, you're going to be that first phone call. So that's some systematic marketing. Target your audience, be consistent, be repetitive. And here's going to be the hardest part for some of you guys. Don't overthink it. There is no magic pill. There's no magic bullet. There's no secret sauce or secret recipe. Be authentic. Be logical. Be empathetic. Give good information. If you do this, you will build the trust. That's that trust triangle. So I want to conclude this session here of marketing. And as we move into the next episodes, we're going to get very specific around the different types of sources. In this course, we talk about sources from specifically working your sphere, your database, and how we can market and add value to our database, to open houses, FSBOs, expireds, farming. We're going to go deep with each of those things. So if you have a specific niche, let's go down that niche. In 3612.3, they don't talk about social media yet. We're going to introduce that here with this course because it is so relevant and it is so practical and it's generating a response. Yet here's the secret for that. It's no different than anything else. It's consistency, adding value, relatable content over time will attract the people to it. When you attract from marketing, how's your follow-up system to prospect? Thanks for listening here again. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, reach out. My name is Rick Bosley with the Bosley team and 3L Coaching, making real estate simple. Take care.